Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the show. What I'm going to be talking to you today about is a business of one. All right. Too many people have dreams of starting a billion-dollar company or being the next Jeff Bezos or being the next Elon Musk because that's all we see. The gap is what gets you worried, frustrated, anxious, stressed out, procrastinating. The gap between where you are now, because I'm assuming you haven't started a business or you wouldn't be dreaming about starting a business. But it's the gap between where you are now and where they are or where you think you should be. And that is causing so much overwhelm. That's where your anxiety is coming from because you don't have a way of getting there right now. And that's what lack of clarity is. Lack of clarity causes the overwhelm, the anxiety, the psychotic entropy, the mental disorder, if you will, in the sense of disorder, in the sense of disarray or disarray of the mind, not a mental issue in the sense where, but before we start, understand one thing. You have to understand that humans are the only beings that can have an idea and make it real. All right. We have the ability to consider tomorrow. We have the ability to be strategic. We have the ability to work for ourselves and extract value out of things, see the good in things. All right. When you think about like a chimpanzee, of course, they can use tools, but they don't know how to make their ideas a reality. Right? You think about a chimpanzee and or monkey or whatever animal you want to consider. What other animal has been able to construct the world we live in from just images and things? Okay. When you look around the world today, look at all we've developed, what we've built on the school system, the government, religion, language. Think about that. Does that not blow your mind? It blows my mind. It blows my mind that we've been able to develop all of these things from nothing, guys. Even the way you're watching me right now is probably on a stream, probably wirelessly. It's pretty phenomenal that I can do that. It blows my mind every single time I think about it. And even more so when you realize there was a point that we didn't have language, right? We didn't have books. We didn't have the things that we use today to reference knowledge, like looking up something in a book or asking someone or Googling it. The only thing we had was the ability, of course, because we're doing it, the consciousness level to realize we had the ability, the attention and the focus and the tools necessary to connect these ideas and make them tangible. And really just being able to communicate and form relationships with other people. But that's for a whole nother discussion, guys, as far as that is concerned, when you think about how the cons of that. But the fact that we can do that is absolutely phenomenal. And also being able to collaborate and work together for not only the benefit of the greater good in the whole, but understanding that collaboration helps ourselves too, right? One of the keys to a high quality life is just leaning into your nature, right? Your nature as a human, your nature as a creator, as a builder, actually building things, right? That's what I'm working on right now, is putting my finger to the grindstone and actually building things instead of just watching other people build things. And really just, if I watch other people build things and I don't build things, then I'm just watching them and I'm not doing anything else about it. All right. And then I'm not being self-reliant. And self-reliance for me is possibly the greatest value in my life. It has brought me the most value that I could ever imagine when I think of the self-reliance of investing, when I think of the self-reliance of education and a family and freedom. All right. I think about all those things and all of the value that it has brought me. I am absolutely amazed at what self-reliance can do for you and personal responsibility, as values should. I mean, when people would tell me this in relation to a one-person business as a creator, I've pretty much done every one person business under the sun. I've worked for companies. I've made millions of dollars and I have the receipts. But this is why I talk about this stuff. It's because I have direct experience with it. I know the steps you should take. I know that people overcomplicate it way too much. Pertaining to business, when people were screaming at me to start my own financial services firm, I wanted to do that, but I took it slow. I took it slow because there were so many things that went into doing exactly that I didn't know if I wanted to get caught into the web of that so fast, so soon. And here we are now building out the business, building out the offering and the services. And now I have a team, which is even better for me as we go forward into the future. For me, whenever I see someone doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, or whenever I see the crowd moving in one direction, one of the things that I do is stop. It doesn't necessarily mean turn around and go in the opposite direction, but it does mean just stop. That is your first act of power. Before you can turn around, before you can start making new moves, you do need to stop. Even in a U-turn in a car, you really do have to stop your car to turn around. But at least when you stop your car, you are no longer going in the wrong direction. That's what you think about when you're even driving. You're like, am I lost? Well, once you realize that you likely are lost, it's probably a good thing to stop driving because all you're doing is going in the wrong direction. All right. And there's a logjam in the crowd because no one thinks for themselves. And since no one thinks for themselves, everyone's going in the same direction and it's likely wrong. Success to me, or success in general, is counterintuitive, guys, because definitionally, when you think about what being successful is, it has to be doing something different than everyone else, or you are in a situation that's preferable, valuable, and in order to make it into that circumstance, you have to do something differently than everyone else. I didn't say the people you watch on YouTube every day. I said do something different in scope than what everyone else is doing. And that's something I'm going to touch on also. But that's kind of a value of mine, this counterintuitiveness. I've always been one to want to go the other way, do something different than the crowd. And it's helped me be successful, right? It helped me in my life to take the leap, to do what everyone else wasn't doing, to do something that was not yet done, or the path less blazed, or the road less traveled, if you will. Being skeptical, all right? It's important to be skeptical, not cynical, but skeptical, whether you're investing, whether you're dating, whether you are choosing schools for your children. It's important to have a healthy level of skepticism because that's what keeps people on their toes, proving to you things that need to be proven, no matter the relationship. So counterintuitiveness and skepticism to me is one of my core values when I think about how I operate in my life. And just that, when people told me to go big corporate out of college, go big corporate, go for the big name, it'll be safe, secure, you don't have to worry about anything. Well, guess what? That's not the way for me. I would have been in a job that I likely didn't necessarily enjoy, and I would likely be stuck in a big corporate role because where do you go from a big, gigantic corporation when they keep moving you along and moving you along? What I did was I went small, private, and independent. Okay, I have not worked for a publicly traded company in my life. Well, the only publicly traded company I could say I ever worked for was Red Lobster when I was serving food as a young teenager, young college student. But all the other companies that I've worked for have been small, private, independent, boutique firms. Guess what? There's a lot of opportunity in those firms and a lot of relationships to be built that you can do very well in your life if you go that route. When people went flashy, I went with value. I've never owned a pair of Jordans, guys. And I look at people in my neighborhood who had every pair of Jordans and they're still buying them in the same house. Okay. When people told me to invest in this or that, I did something else. Ultimately, I invested in myself. That's the self-reliance that I'm talking about. Me trying to figure things out for myself has taught me more than any other course or any other college degree or certification that I have. Go check out my LinkedIn if you want. I went to Central High School. If you're from Philly, you know all about Central High School. It's a very prestigious school, the second oldest public high school in the country. It's a magnet school, academically driven, college prep. I went to college at Temple University. I went to business school at LaSalle University. I got my MBA. I went to the University of Georgia to get some more certifications and then ended up with a certified financial planner, CFP. So I've done a lot of things, but trust me, self-reliance has taught me the most in life. That's how you learn. Experience. That is the true learning. True learning is by directly experiencing something. Not taking people's advice as law, but testing it for yourself. And this is not only pertaining to business, this is pertaining to health and wellness, fitness, finance and investment, your own political views, whatever you might think of things, your way you see family, or any other ideology or belief system in general, because that's what life is. It's a conglomerate of perspectives, goals that people are trying to hit, problems, benefits. When you think about it, it all comes together for you to decide. And all this other stuff that form a singular perspective that makes someone believe something and is so accepting of a specific ideology as law is just closing your mind off, guys. Basically closing your mind off to any opportunity that you can have. So back to the topic, we're here to talk about the one-person business model, which I believe is the best route for 95% of people that want to start a business because it follows a human path of progression or pattern. So, a lot of people that I know, and myself included, start out one of two ways that requires zero experience. It's skill-based. The first way is skill-based, all right? Marketable skills, okay? Whether it's design, photography, marketing, SEO, web design, investing, coaching, something of that nature. All right. All that stuff. Those things that, you probably learned some of those things. Those are like you're starting like a freelance business or a coaching business. That is where self-development comes into play. So it's either skill-based or development-based. Development-based, this is pertaining to building an audience or providing value, educating people so they will buy your product or service or your freelancing service or your digital product or your consulting service, whatever it may be. Start with skill-based and then they educate people on those skills. So if I'm a writer, which I am a writer, then I'll teach you how to write. I will give out tips on writing. I will write articles on writing. If you're a mindset guy or self-development guy, then you're going to give out tips on mindset or on education or strengthening your mind or, this all falls under the eternal markets: health, wealth, relationship, happiness. Skill-based is kind of like you use that to complement your self-development so you can make money a bit faster, because a high-ticket service like a freelancing offer, you can sell for $2,000 to $3,000 once you get good. You can sell a freelancing offer for about that once you get good at what you're doing. And then you can just sell it through your audience or just reach out to people directly and try to land via cold outreach or something of that nature. You can make money a lot quicker. So those are the two routes that people go. And from my experience and from my failures, guys, I've been working at this a long time. And I want to share my knowledge with you so you don't have to go through the 7 years, 7 years of trial and error that I've been going through in the one-person business. And I've been happy to find a lot of people on internet, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, etc., that have helped crystallize for me what I'm talking about and what I've been working on for a very long time, but in a formal way since, 5 to 7 years, very consistently. So I want to share this knowledge with you so you can learn from my experience, but also my failures. That's why I always recommend people start with posting content, because a lot of people start freelancing or coaching and then they get stuck in this cycle of like, you have to do manual labor in order to get clients, like send cold emails, cold DMs, uh, post content, and then you can start to think about building an audience. And then you have a brand that is educating people on those things, building trust, building authority. You don't even need to do it in the DMs manually every single time. You build an audience along the way. And then once you get to a certain point, once you have a certain amount of traffic and a certain amount of brand loyalty and authority, then clients start coming to you. And then once your audience gets larger and larger, you can productize your service, reduce the time you spend on client work, and sell something like a digital product. Or if you're in the self-development space, like mindset or health coaching or something of that nature, you can create a physical platform or course. So we're going to walk through what I call the entrepreneurial method, which is just like a spin-off of the scientific method. We have to understand how we apply this before we can actually get into it. So the way that we apply this for a one-person business, you need three things: value, currency, and money. You need a brand, or like a storefront. It is how you're perceived, right? So you need a brand, and the way you brand is your brand, a one-person business. You brand a one-person business based on yourself, right? It's a personal brand. Like my brand is the Bird brand. All right, birdbrand.net. Go check it out. I've been building this for a very long time, and you need to figure out your personal brand. It's a personal business that the brand revolves around you and your vision for the future and your goals. And, that's where you're leading people, because followers follow leaders, right? So if you're not a leader, do not try to start a business. If you are not a leader, a business is not going to work for you, because you are not a leader. You need to go find a leader to follow, all right? But if you are a leader, this is the business for you. Number two, how do you attract people to that brand? How do you build a following? Content, right? When you think about it, how do you attract people to your brand? How do you build a following? Content. Content is created from your interests. So self-development or skills, which are the skill-based things that I talk about, and you educating people on that is where you're going to find your ability to build an audience. And that's where you're going to throw your unique spin on whatever it is that you're talking about, right? Your interest, educating people on your interest and your skills, and, throwing in your personal thoughts, your own beliefs, maybe some mindset stuff, maybe where you spend your time, what you're doing on a daily basis, right? You think about those things. Entertain, educate, inspire with your content. You learn how to write or structure content in a way that catches attention and delivers value on that attention, and then converts that attention to either a follow, a purchase, email subscriber, and you just slowly build leverage over time to get to the point of what we talked about earlier. And now, how do you monetize, right? So let's recap here. I talked earlier about value, currency, money. What you're doing, first of all, is you're adding value, supplying value. And then from that value, if you keep adding value enough, you're going to develop a level of currency among those people, your audience. Your currency is among your audience or the people that you know. And then after you've delivered value, you have currency, you've built an audience, you then need to monetize if you want to make cash, right? You have currency, but now you want money. How do you monetize? Because This is the part where people screw this up so much, because it's like, how do I monetize from a platform where it's like, you know, YouTube, let's say? Well, you can do AdSense, and that's great. That's what I do. And it's like, other people can do that, but it's not really in your control, right? You can be taken down from the platform at any time. And if you don't have an email list and you don't have your own product or service that you can control the price of, because the traffic going to it is going to be what determines your income. So if you want to actually build an income online, you need to become valuable enough to sell a product or service to a person that is one or two steps behind you, or just has a use case in your life. So it has a use case in other people's lives. Like, if I like coffee and I use it to focus, and I'm going to create a healthy Indian coffee brand and sell it to my audience while talking about productivity, talking about focus, it's that simple. Give it time. Don't quit after 2 weeks when you don't see results, and it will work. People will begin to purchase those things from you. So you have to be entrepreneurial. This is something we do on a daily basis. Universal principle that people need to follow in order to not only increase their quality of life, solve their own problems, but also profit from that, profit off your own self-development and your own skill acquisition. Because that's just the thing. If you are starting out from zero, it's no problem. You talk, you write content about what you were learning. Your brand is your vision for the future. So if you're starting a freelance business and you plan to take that $10,000 a month, your brand is your vision for the future. So if you're starting a freelance business and you plan to take that to $10,000 a month, and that's your vision or your goals for the future, then that's your brand. Hey, follow me along as I build this freelance business to $10,000 a month. Now, if you're already valuable, if you already have developed those skills, if you already developed yourself or your mind, then you have a little bit more authority, and you already know what you should be talking about and the value you should be creating online. Now, one thing I want to mention here with content is that you're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Like, seriously, the wheel's been invented. You have to be self-aware here. That's what self-reliance is. In the one-person business, being self-aware is very important. What kind of content do you like to consume, right? Is it too basic, or is it unique to you, right? Like, are you reading the same exact thing week after week? People need to be reminded more than they need something new. Think about that. You don't have to recreate the wheel. You don't have to come up with new content all the time. You just simply have to be consistent and remind people about what you're talking about more than creating something new. That's all content is. Even if it's other people's content, you don't have to go recreate something. You're joining in on, say, a conversation and giving your own take on the same thing that people are already saying. That results in growth. If you aren't growing on social media, it's usually because your ego's in the way, right? You're trying to overcomplicate things way too much. You're trying to be too cute or too fancy or too clever, and then you get mad because you think people don't get it, or they aren't as smart as you. Like, they don't know any better. Like, they just don't get it. It's you that doesn't get it. Listen to the feedback and change how you talk about things so it's actually interesting. If people aren't interested in your interest, it's because you don't know how to make your interests interesting to that person. So the entrepreneurial method, here it is. Look, you find a problem. This is what we deal with in our lives every day. We just have to learn how to productize or market it or create content out of it. Listen, you find a problem in your life, you learn, you teach yourself, you go through the process of solving it. You document solving it online, systematize your process, share your discoveries, and in a nutshell, you are finding a problem in your life, right? So in a nutshell, think about it this way. Find a problem in your life. That's step number one, is find a problem. All stories are marketing. Literally everything that drives human behavior are problems. If I were to read you a story and it started with, there was a dog in the middle of the street, well, that opens up a curiosity loop and people want to learn more. You want to learn more, right? You want to learn more about that dog in the middle of the street. What is going on with the dog? Once you become aware of an issue, of a problem, you want to solve it or you want to learn more about it. Once you identify a problem, let's say with your health, then you're going to self-educate in order to get the answer, to get there, right? That leads into step two, which is self-educate. So let's say you find yourself lacking self-esteem. One, maybe you don't have muscle mass, right? That's a health problem. Or you just don't like how you look. Well, that's like a vanity issue, a surface level problem. Or if you want to understand this from the lens of finding your purpose, I have another video that you might like. I'm going to post it soon. But you find your purpose by solving your own problems. It's the same thing. You have to solve those shallow external problems first, and then bust through your inner core to get to the meaning and the purpose of everything, because we've shrouded over it with all of these comparisons, these self-comparisons and other people and all these things that are creating the shallow problems. But you just can't ignore them because you have to solve them first, because that's what most people are struggling with. And that's how you can help them. But once you've actually solved them for yourself, right, you have to develop yourself and your skill set. So if you have a health problem and maybe you need to go and learn how to hit the gym, right, then you become good at hitting the gym, where you find this unique take on hitting the gym, how to, create your own system for becoming jacked, or whatever it may be, guys. I'm just talking here, but you can do this. You can teach people about that. Say, offer a course, right? Use your own head here, guys. I mean, I'm giving you examples. This is a free video, all right? Use your own head. Use your critical thinking and understand, like, are you going to start a business on, providing someone ice on the corner? It's probably not. I don't know. What I'm saying is, think about whether it's justified. Think about whether you can sell a product or not. The people that are going to sell a product will sell a product. So that's on them, the individual. You got to figure out how to sell that product. And I just can't help you with that, guys. I mean, this is a free course. I'm not talking with you 101. So just have some common sense and be smart about what you're selling. If you want to talk to me 101 about your business, about the business of one, about productizing yourself, branding, I'd be happy to do it. There's a link in the description below. Feel free to hit me up at that email address or on Instagram. So, another thing is, if you want to fix the money problem, let's say you're broke. Let's say you're a broke college student and you understand that college is going to get you some money. Yeah, it's going to get you some money. It's going to get you some cash flow, but you got to realize that you are going to be capped. Your income is going to be capped. All right. I don't know how much money you think you're going to make at a job where someone pays you, but it will not be that much. And certainly over the next 5 years, you're going to realize you are going to reach a ceiling on your income. And that's what I've seen in my life, guys. I've been working in corporate America and firms over 20 years now. And let me tell you one thing that happens, and my wife too. So we both got our stories and our experiences. Let me tell you what happens. You get out of college, you're good looking, you're tall, you're smart, you went to a fairly good school. Employers are dying to get their hands on the best people, right? Same thing in the NFL or the NBA. Teams want to trade up to get those top picks because they know the top picks are more likely to pan out than middle picks. But guess what? All top picks do not pan out. And what's going to happen is, guess what? They're going to pay you. And see, this isn't the NFL, the NBA, where you become a known quantity and people then need you. But what happens is, in the working world, if you're working for someone else, they're going to pay you a lot, at least a lot of money compared to what you're used to at first. So between the ages of 22 and 30, you're going to make more money than you thought you would make, for sure, especially if you're good and you look good, you present well, all those things. You're going to make more money than you thought you would make at 25. But that is going to slow down. That is going to slow down dramatically by the time you reach 30. So there will be a cap on your income. You're thinking, oh man, I'm making 80K, 100K, I'm 28. By the time I'm 40, I'll be making 300K. Not even close. You may not be making more than you're making at 28. So you have to realize there's a cap on your income. And if you don't like that, you better start thinking about something else. Start freelancing. Start a freelancing business. Start learning a skill. Okay, you have to think about what the future holds. Do you see how a problem leads to self-education? You develop and determine a problem, it leads to self-education. Do you see how a problem leads to self-education? Step number 2, right? Learn how to solve your problem through self-education. You get results, and then you talk about those results. And then you document. That's you documenting how you solve your problem online, which leads to step number 3, which is document online. That is also how you learn more about yourself and about the skill you are doing, right? The problem here is that people always feel like they lack experience, this imposter syndrome. I experience it too. Everyone does. It's like, oh, I feel like an imposter when I'm posting content online. I know a lot about, say, investing, and I'm trying to land my first client, or I know a lot about web design or building web pages, but I just can't post about it online. And it's just so weird. It's like, if you're going to try to make money off of someone by reaching out to them with a business, hey, I want to invest your money, or hey, I want to build a website for you, but you don't feel like you are confident enough or skilled enough or an authority enough to post online, then it's like, why are you afraid? Why are you afraid to post free content online? It just doesn't make any sense. But again, we are dealing with things that are psychological in nature and blocking us from our vision and our goals. We have to get over it. That's why I'm making this video. Feel free to leave comments down below. I want to talk to you about it. The free content online should come first. And that is a way of you distilling what you've learned and organizing your thoughts so that other people can benefit from it. Then you build authority to the point of landing a client, right? So you have to understand, people see me now and you're watching this YouTube video. So it's a bit different because it's not on Instagram. It's not on Twitter, which is where I have, a bigger following, and people see that gap. They see me and they're like, wow, this guy has, this amount of followers, or MBA, or man, he's already done all this work in the investment business. And guess what? It took me a lot of time to get there. It took me a lot of searching to get there. It took me a lot of time to get to this place where I'm making this video today about the one-person business, about the personal brand, all this stuff, guys. You have to drive yourself forward to start. All right? You think, wow, it's going to take me forever to get where this guy is. Yeah, it might. But if you don't start now, it will absolutely take forever. It's going to take a long time. But you have to get started. Again, you're paying attention to the gap. And that's what's causing the overwhelm, the anxiety, the procrastination. All right? The overwhelm, anxiety, and procrastination is caused by your visualization and perception that someone else is better than you, that they have outworked you, that they are so far ahead of you that you couldn't possibly think of catching up. All right? Rather than focusing on the first step in front of you, which is just starting. It really does come down to just starting. So what you don't see is that I am a regular dude. Now, you may say, well, you're not so regular. You got all these things. Guys, it took me a long time to build that. It took me a very long time to build what you see here. All right? I'm married. I got 4 kids. I got a set of twins, a boy and a girl. I got 3 girls total. Yeah, you may say, oh, that guy has so much going on. Yeah, it took me a long time to build that. I'm a regular dude, all right? I've been talking to friends right now and they would be perfect for this, but they just don't see it for themselves. So I'm making this video to hone my skills on how I'm going to talk to them about what it is that they should do concerning their lives, their business, their passion, their time. All right. You're working for somebody making $60,000 a year. You're not utilizing your time properly. Oh, I don't have any experience. I don't have any skills. Well, then we got to either change the mindset of you thinking you have no experience and do something about that. Change the fact that you have no experience by getting some experience, but we have to start somewhere. I just want to let you know I'm a regular guy, right? I identified a problem in my life. You may be a broke college student. That isn't my story right now, but it brings us to a very similar position. I was an accomplished investment advisor, institutional asset manager, OCIO, outsourced chief investment officer. So I saw so much more for my life. The problem with that is I didn't have control of my days. Someone told me how to do things every single day. And as much money as I was making, I had a limited earning potential with a growing family. So it doesn't really matter how much money you are making at your company, at your job, hundreds of thousands of dollars even, because it's capped at some level until you own the firm. I mean, come on, you're not the master of the universe as a sales professional or investment analyst. So you are capped even if you are making a nice amount of money. So when I left my last firm, I knew that I didn't want to get another job. All a job did was limit my potential, my income potential, my future in terms of how much I could make. So what I started doing was learning every single skill that I could that would help me in my business outside of the skills that I already had. And then once I saw some results, I start posting online about my results, whether it was web design. I built my own website. Go check it out, birdbrand.net. I'm posting about what I did, what I'm doing, how I built it, and freelancing by teaching other people how to build it. A lot of people are finding themselves in a very similar situation as me, starting their own business, wanting to build their own website, set up accounts, figure out their structure, and they need help with that. And they love to talk to someone who's been working on that for, like me, 5 to 7 years, made all the mistakes, made all the errors. All right, I'm going to teach you those things. I'm talking about my self-development journey. I'm talking about the mindset that it takes for you to get there, talking about skill acquisition, money, and I grew an audience, guys. So that's what I'm working on. That's what I want you to work on. And I eventually created and working on creating a digital product showing how I started my web design business, my coaching business, my investing business, and that iterated over time with the scientific process. For the entrepreneurial process, iteration is such a big part of everything. And that's what the one person business does. It evolves. So if you're afraid of saturation in this market, in this stuff, you have to understand that if you're starting a creator business or a one person business, there is no saturation. It's kind of impossible because we evolved. I evolved from, say, working for someone to freelancing to consulting. So clearly there's a job open in the freelancing market. So after you leave somewhere, there's a new opening in the ecosystem, if you will. If I want to transition eventually and just bank on my book sales or start a software company that I uh, desaturate the market even more. So you have to understand the internet enables 8 billion monopolies, right? It really does. There is room for everyone because if you're thinking there's too much saturation, it's because you haven't started. Again, it's a gap. You're guessing what's in between that gap rather than figuring it out for yourself. And figuring it out for yourself means getting in and doing the work. You're worried about the gap. It's causing anxiety, overwhelm, procrastination, stress. You're worried about the gap. But if you would get in there and start doing the work, you're going to figure out, one, the gap isn't that big, and the work that you're doing is going to fill the gap so fast that I can tell you haven't started if you are still talking about saturated and I wish I was where you haven't started. That's why I'm making this video. Hopefully you watch it and you get started. So, um, on a side note, thinking about the gap, someone asked me recently, they were thinking about growing an audience, talking about, my interest, their interest, eventually making an income, but they were worried about how long it would take. My mom would always tell me that it doesn't matter how long it's going to take. The time's going to pass either way. So like, if you see yourself doing this for the rest of your life, why does it matter how long it's going to take? I tell people that a lot with fitness. All right. If fitness is a lifestyle for you and it's going to take you 6 months to lose the weight or 6 months to get strong, why are you worried about the 6 months if you're going to do this for the rest of your life? All right. Because if you're going to come back to the gym anyway, get started now. Figure out the failures, figure out your style, figure out whatever it is that is necessary so that you can continue to keep coming back. And basically what you realize is that you have to have a certain amount of failures to see the success that you want. Once you get those failures out of the way, you get them out of the way as soon as possible, then the sooner you're going to see success and actually be able to do this for the rest of your life, right? So what happens if you don't? What happens if you don't do that? Then you're not going to be doing the thing that you want to do for the rest of your life. It's really that simple, guys. It really is that simple. So step 4, right? Step 4 is to distill things into a repeatable or replicable process. That's what people want. They want step-by-step advice on how to get a specific end result. That's what every single thing does. If you want to make money from the start, you need to just focus on distilling a process or creating a system. The way you do this, it ties in with self-learning, self-education, self-reliance, because if you hire someone to do all this for you, you hire someone to build a brand, build a website, all of those things, then you just lose whatever you would have learned in that gap. You have to try different things. You have to see what works for you. You have to find that discovery by figuring it out, struggling, not taking the easy route, so that you can take that and then teach it from your own unique point of view. So, step 5 is to share your discoveries online, guys. Give your discoveries or your process to someone that wants to be helped. Someone out there is just like you right before you got started, and now that you've learned the skill, they want you to teach them. They want to learn, but they're skeptical because they see all the online scams and they don't know what to do. This is where you come in. This is where you build a relationship and trust with your audience and show them that you can do and will do what they need you to do. All right. So, I'm going to wrap this video up. Step 5, like I said, share your discoveries online. I want to ask you a difficult question, which, what is the meaning of life? So from my own experimentation and self-education and researching multiple different perspectives, you see what I'm doing here and figuring things out? I've noticed some patterns. I've noticed a kind of 2-step system for the meaning of life. Now, we can lump this entire question into this, but I just want to spark some thought and awareness in you. So the first thing leaning into the meaning of life is raising your consciousness, right? Once you become more conscious of what's going on around you, you start to find deeper meanings in the things that are around you, right? What that means is actively exploring the unknown aspects of reality, which means you're not straying away from the challenge, or you're not running from failure or the dark areas of the human experience that are going to be there whether you deny them or not. So you are actively exploring and feeling into your problems, leaning into your problems, how to solve them, and directly experiencing yourself solving them so that you get those results and you truly learn and raise your consciousness around that domain of reality. So you are making the unknown known, the unconscious conscious, by solving your own problems and becoming aware of the unconscious and making it conscious. You are making the unpredictable predictable. So the unpredictable nature of solopreneurship, you're making that predictable and you're helping other people get there. So the second thing after raising your own consciousness is raising the collective consciousness. When you raise the collective consciousness, what you are doing is raising your consciousness. So what you're doing when you're raising your own consciousness, you're creating a map of reality. You're creating a map of the unknown or what is unknown to other people, and then teaching it to them helps accelerate the level of collective consciousness much faster, right? So you learn something, you go through all the trial and error, then you teach it to other people. You've raised the collective consciousness of a community, right? If you're teaching them, or you build a course basing your teaching on that and making it known that they have to self-educate and they have to figure it out for themselves as well as raise their own consciousness, then that is somewhat the meaning to life. And I can attest that, isn't it incredible? It's incredible the feeling you get when you help someone get results and solve problems that they want to solve. So you raise the collective consciousness by giving out pieces of your map, by writing online or posting online, right? So attracting a following, that's what social media is for. And then your products themselves are the map, right? They are the map you are distilling and like enclosing it into a little zip file to upload for people in their brains. Like, because then the next thing is like, well, oh, Don, well, like, what if people are already selling this thing and it's like already free online, and you have to understand like that only a specific certain type of person says that. They're just they aren't in the arena. They don't have money to invest. Those kind of people that say that probably aren't in business. They aren't in the arena. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't have the money to invest, because what people want is, and what they want from products and what they pay for is aggregation, speed, and convenience, right? That's just everywhere around us. Like, why do you go buy something that is terrible for your health rather than just eating the good food you have at home? It's convenient, right? Why would I spend 20 hours filtering through some fragmented YouTube videos, sleuthing through the internet, rather than just get a step-by-step course from someone that I like on how to get an end result that I want? You know what I mean? And then get it now, right? Get it right now. The thing is with this is that you can't help people that don't want to be helped. Like, if people want to twist your words, then there's probably somebody going to watch this and twist my words. You see some dislikes, they don't get it. If people don't want to increase their quality of life and they're stuck in this ego trap, then it's okay. You cannot help them. So I'll end with this. The lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding. And that's a quote. The ancient masters are saying the same thing, that you can't help people that don't want to be helped. But if you want to be helped in more videos, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, check out what I have going on in all the description links below. I will see you in the next video, guys.